Hey guys, sitting around in quarantine today thinking about guitar string gauges, and I wanted to talk to you about a set that's become my absolute favorite gauge of strings, just as an all-around set of strings, and that's a 9.5 gauge set, 9.5 to 44. There's several companies that make these. I know that D'Addario were the first ones that I found making them years ago, and I've been using these for a very long time. But I also noticed pretty recently that Ernie Ball has jumped into the 9.5 game with their own set of Primo Slinkies. I've also had DR strings in 9.5s, and those were excellent as well. I just don't have any on me right now. So I'm not really pro any one manufacturer's version of it. I just love the gauge, and they're all really, really good strings, no matter who you're getting them from. I began years ago, I guess like most people did, when you bought a guitar from the store, playing 9-gauge strings. And 9-gauge is great for beginners. They really are. They're easy to play. They're not going to put too much wear and tear on your fingers. They're kind of forgiving of bad setups on cheap guitars. But over time, I began to find them sort of, tinny and thin, buzzy, I guess, and stepped up to 10s. And 10s have much better tone. They are a little bit harder to play, a little bit harder to bend. But one thing that's great about this 9.5 set is that they play like 9s, but they sound like 10s. And more than that, I've found that this gauge is a little bit better balanced. Maybe not quite as perfectly balanced as some of the balanced tension sets that you find out there where they've really mathematically figured that out. I thought I was going to like those balanced tension sets, but then there are some strings, like the B string, A string, where you're wailing, doing some wild bends on it, and you're used to doing that, or doing a lot of trills on the A string in some songs, where that extra tension in a balanced tension set just doesn't feel right. These feel like a normal set of strings, just a little bit more balanced. The bass end's not as floppy, and the middle doesn't feel as stiff compared to it. And if you look at a set of 9s, you can see why that's the case. Set of regular 9s, I don't have a set of regular 9s, I'm sorry, I've just got a 7-string set, but if you ignore that 7th string right there, it is a set of 9s. And you can see that the bass has a little bit more tension in the 9.5s. And so that E string is a little less floppy, which I really like. And also on the E and B string here, you've got a little bit more tension, but the two middle strings here, 16 and the 24, they're exactly the same in the 9.5 set. And that really balances out the tension real well without becoming one of those, I don't know. The balanced tension sets don't feel like a real set of guitar strings to me for some reason. They'd be good if you were just playing shred, but when it comes to bending, it just feels weird to me. I don't know why. So this 9.5 set is a great set, just as an all-around set. I've used them on the guitars I keep at school for some of the students to play, and I find that they last way longer before they feel cruddy and rusty than a set of 9s do. And the kids don't seem to notice much in the way of them being harder to play. Now, one of the things that I have noticed is on some of my guitars where I want a little bit of a firmer bass end on it, I began substituting that 44 bass string with a 46. I would just buy an individual string and stick it in there to give me a little bit more boomy bass end than I wanted out of some guitars. So it's almost like creating a 9.5 top and a 10 bottom. So I thought I was really clever until, boom, Ernie Ball does it better. So you got your 9.5 set on top, and then it transitions to a set of 10s on the bottom. These are way better, in my opinion, than the skinny top, heavy bottom regular set that Ernie Ball has been making for years. Those always felt so unbalanced to me. You got these real stiff bass strings that you can chug on, yes, but then when you get to the top strings, the same amount of tension or yanking on the string just feels like spaghetti. So it didn't feel right to me. But these 9.5s to 10, man, it is the best of both worlds. So, you know, I've got the regular 9.5s on a lot of my guitars. And then if I want that extra bottom end, the turbo Slinkies have just been awesome. You can't beat this set. It just is an all-around string. And I know there's going to be a lot of people say, well, I've got my 8-string tuned to drop A and I can't use that. I get it. But just as an all-around set, these things are fantastic, and they don't require you to do a lot of tweaking as far as nut slots and intonation and string height, pickup height, and all that stuff. If you want to change out a set of 9s or a set of 10s, these don't really require that much adjustment to switch to just to try out. So I don't know. That's my opinion. Give them a try, see what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you guys are doing well during quarantine. Let's keep playing.